Welcome to Integrative Medicine Perspective. I'm Dr. Wenli Liu. Intermittent fasting and fast mimicking diets, ketogenic diets, are very popular nowadays. There is evidence that these ketogenic approaches are effective in weight management and glucose control. But is there enough evidence for us to recommend these diets as a healthy dietary pattern for everybody? I have encountered many people who think ketosis is good. They even use urine test strips to confirm that their dietary effort is effective in generating ketones. But the questions are, how much ketones do we need? Is it the more the merrier? Are ketones a better energy than sugar for us? So many questions. So let's dive in. First, with our 3-meal dietary schedule, do we produce ketones? The answer is yes. Actually, the liver switches from a fat state to a fast state in a matter of several hours. So we even produce ketones between meals, given that we don't snack constantly. Under a fat state, the liver forms glycogen and fat from sugar. But under a fast state, the liver switches to fatty acid oxidation, meaning fat burning, and ketone production. Now let's compare the ketone production between overnight fasting, fasting for 3 to 5 days, and diabetic ketoacidosis. Compared with overnight fasting, fasting for 3 to 5 days produces at least 4 times the amount of ketones. Diabetic ketoacidosis, 10 times. We certainly don't need ketoacidosis, but do we need to go beyond our overnight fasting and go into a starvation mode to achieve a higher level and longer duration of ketosis? Then the next question is, why do we need ketones? Well, they are an alternative energy, especially for the brain. The brain's primary energy source is sugar. It cannot use fat. So under a fast state, when sugar energy is limited, the brain needs an alternative energy source. Ketones are the alternative source. It just so happens that our longest fasting of the day is the overnight sleep. Ketones reduce neurons' excitability, so they are the perfect energy source for the brain at night. It should not be just a coincidence that our longest fasting time coincides with our overnight sleep. The ketones' neuroprotective effect is the reason behind their use in the treatment of seizure in children. But the brain's ability to take up ketones is far less than that to take up sugar. Plus, ketones are not permeable equally among every region in the brain. So as a result, ketones are only selectively used by the brain regions where ketones are permeable. So ketones are only supplemental energy to sugar for the brain. They cannot replace sugar completely. For the ketones' effect of reducing neuron excitability, our overnight fasting will do. We do not need to go into a starvation mode for that effect. In addition, ketones are very important signals for our food anticipation, meaning our meal schedule. So ketones are appropriately at a higher level before a meal. So the question is, do we need to change the circadian rhythm of ketone levels? Instead of ketone levels going up before a meal or at night, do we need a constant state of ketosis so that our body uses ketones as energy regardless whether we are fed, unfed, awake, or asleep? Intermittent fasting will result in periodic state of ketosis, but a strict ketogenic diet will result in a constant state of ketosis. Well, it only makes sense for us to do so if ketones are a better energy than sugar for us. But are they? Dr. August Cole in 1919 reported a very detailed account of fat versus carbohydrate as a muscular energy. Participants reported fatigue with exercise. Some even reported fever and headaches with exercise when on a high-fat diet, but reported ease with exercise when switched to a carbohydrate-rich diet. Almost 100 years later, Dr. Andrea White, in a randomized controlled trial, observed a direct relationship between blood ketone levels and perceived exercise efforts and fatigue symptoms. These study results should not surprise us as we see sports players drink sugar and electrolyte beverages during their matches all the time. I have yet to see a sports team provide their players with butter or steak bites to achieve or maintain ketosis during their intensive physical competitions. Indeed, ketogenic diets are observed to be linked to reduced physical activities. I have put links to the publications I mentioned below. Ketogenic diets may have their function in the management of seizure in children, but the evidence is far from adequate for us to recommend them as healthy choices for everybody. The circadian rhythm of ketone levels has its physiological value that should not be broken without a reasonable cause. Thanks for watching. I know this is quite a controversial topic. Please leave comments and questions. For more integrative medicine topics, please subscribe. I will see you soon.